Securing a reliable tenant means fewer headaches, steady income, and a smoother property management experience. How though do you go about telling which tenants are good and which are going to cause you the problems? The answer is to set clear tenant criteria from the start. In this video, we'll walk through the key steps to identifying a great tenant, from financial stability and credit history to rental history, background checks, and legal requirements. Let's get started. Probably the most important thing to look for in a tenant is the ability to pay the rent on time and in full every month. So the first thing to look at is the tenant's current financial stability. It's an essential way to verify your potential tenant's income and employment status. And ideally, tenants should have a long-term job and be able to prove they can earn at least 3 times the rent amount each month. When you collect your rental applications, make sure to request proof of income. This can come in the form of pay stubs, bank statements, or employment letters. Building on the previous point, you can also use credit history to assess a tenant's finances. A solid credit score can indicate good financial responsibilities. However, you should also watch for red flags like late payments, lots of open trade lines, and a high debt to income ratio. You can get a credit report on your tenant as a part of the tenant screening report. The easiest way to run a tenant screening report is to use software like Landlord Studio, and it's free for landlords, and you'll receive the report in just minutes. Now, a person's past actions are often an indicator of their future actions, meaning if historically they've caused problems for their landlords, if they've been through evictions, paid late rent, caused property damage, then they could actually do it again. Your tenant screening report should detail previous evictions that are on their record. You should also double check that the rental address in your tenant screening report matches up with the details they gave you in their rental application as well. The most reliable way, though, to find out what kind of tenant they have been in the past is to actually speak with the previous landlord. Ask questions about, payment punctuality, property upkeep, and if there were any other issues at all. This forms another part of the tenant screening report that you can also get from Landlord Studio. Tenant background checks should be used to unveil any criminal history that might impact the tenant's behavior in the rental, to help landlords identify individual tenants with a track record of property damage or who may cause disturbances to other people in the building or neighbors as well. There are some circumstances where landlords may not automatically dismiss an applicant based on the criminal record status. For instance, California's Fair Employment and Housing Act prohibits housing providers from implementing, blanket bans on renting to individuals with criminal records, particularly in the cases where certain types of criminal history may not be relevant to the tenancy overall. A personal interview can reveal a lot about a tenant and is a good way to assess a prospective tenant's character as well. Prepare a list of effective questions about their employment, financial status, lifestyle, for example, do they smoke or vape or have pets, and what they're looking for in a rental. You're trying to gauge their reliability and compatibility with your property. As well as establishing whether the tenant is likely to pay the rent and look after the property, you should also establish that the tenant is compatible with your other property rules. For example, what are your smoking and your pet policies? Do you have specific guest policies? Do they have multiple vehicles that they need off-street parking for? Making sure the tenant is aware of these rules up front, they're more likely to obey them and ensure everyone is happy during the tenancy period. A happy tenant is both more likely to stay for longer and is less likely to cause headaches and issues. The final point is to make sure that you are familiar with both fair housing laws and local and state laws regarding which information you can ask for, which information you can use, and when it comes to assessing the tenant, and what is the process for legally rejecting a tenant. For example, you must not discriminate or be seen to discriminate against an applicant based on any of the protected classes under the Fair Housing Act. Now, if you use a credit report and reject a tenant, you may need to send the tenant an adverse action notice as well. Setting clear tenant criteria from the start is always the best way to ensure that you find tenants who are responsible, reliable, and a great fit for your property, whilst remaining compliant with the fair housing laws. You can use a number of factors when assessing tenants, including financial stability, credit history, rental and eviction history, criminal background checks, tenant interviews, and their compatibility with the property rules. Remember, it's always better for your property to remain empty just a little bit longer than to be stuck with a bad tenant. Now, if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up, comment below with any questions that you might have or tips of your own, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more property management insights. Thank you for watching. If you're looking for free rental listing and tenant screening software, or simply want to learn more about finding and screening tenants, then check out landlordstudio.com and create your free account. Until next time, happy investing.